In September 1979, Francine and I were taking Mark Richard to the Mission Training Center in Provo, Utah. We were driving our little American Motors Gremlin, and we drove down early, started out early in the morning, and we went to the Provo Training Center and dropped Mark off and turned around and headed back home. And we got to Idaho Falls, and we were getting pretty tired, so we decided we'd rent a room and get a night's rest. And so we rented a room, and that was about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and we went right to bed and woke up about midnight, and we said, "Guy, we might as well get on back on the road and get closer to home." So at midnight we got up, packed our stuff back up, got in the car and headed down the road. There wasn't any cars on the road. We got out of town. It was just dead. It was about, when we got to the Monida Pass on the way home on the border of Montana and Idaho, we topped out on the Monida Pass. It was about 2 o'clock in the morning. We didn't see any cars, and there wasn't any cars coming or going. And we topped out over the top of the hill, and it was a long straight stretch of road. It's probably 20 miles long, and flat, pretty flat, going downhill, of course, but straight, and nevertheless. The road was a 2-lane road, and the bar ditch was big. It was big on both sides. The road was really built up, and I think the bar ditch, the right-of-way was probably 100 feet at least off the road. The fence was 100 feet off the road, each side of the road. So the state had right-of-way there, big right-of-way. Anyway, coming down off of that hill, and I just topped out and maybe gone a mile, maybe even less than that, and I looked off to the left, to the south, and there was a shooting star, which I thought was a shooting star anyway, and it came down, and I said, money, money for the, like we always say, money for the week's over. And it's, whenever I did that, the thing, usually they flash out, If you can say money for the week's over before they flash out, you're supposed to get money. Oh, yeah. Anyhow, I said that, and it stopped, just down above the road there. Looked, it wasn't, I don't know how it was, a mile or two away then. Maybe 3 miles, something. But anyway, it stopped on the road, and there was a blue light, bright blue light, the whole thing, when it came down, was just a blue blob. And dang, it stopped down on the side of the road. Then it started coming down toward me, off on the bar ditch side, on the left-hand side, south side. And it was coming down that bar ditch area. It didn't come over the road. It came over the bar ditch area and was headed toward me. I thought, what the Sam heck is that? I couldn't figure out what that was. No, I couldn't figure out what the blue lights, was he looking for something or what, and I thought, I just sat there and driving my car about 60 or 70, whatever the speed limit was. Francine was asleep, and It got closer and closer, and I thought, that's something strange. That's not normal. And I thought, well, the Air Force must have something out here going on. And it got, I think it got to about a quarter of a mile in front of me. And I could see it was, I thought it was maybe a helicopter. But it turned and went straight across the road in front of me. Then I could see the blue lights around the edge of the rim, and I could see the shape of it was like a saucer. And when it turned to go across the road, they had looked like 10 or 15 blue windows on the edge of it, and the blue kind of faded toward each other and then got bluer in the center of each, like window. And that was deep blue and then lighter blue around the edges, but it was all blue. But it wasn't a light that shined out on the ground or anything or in the air. It was just a glowing glow of some sort. And it crossed the road in front of me there, and I kept thinking, what the Sam heck is that, you know? And I said, Francio, wake up. And Francio woke up and looked around and says, what? I said, look at that UFO. She jerked her head around. She said, where? And it pulled on, and the minute it got off the side of the road, it was about as wide as the road, the whole machine. And I'm guessing, 10 or 15 feet maybe in thickness or depth in the middle. The edges were rounded and tapered, and I've got a photo of one what it looked like. And it crossed the road, and as soon as it got across the road, it disappeared. There was no light, there was nothing, and when I drove by that spot, I looked in that direction. I could not see anything. It was just dark night. And boy, I stepped on the gas and I got out of there in a hurry. But Francine never did see it. It turned black before she could see it. Turned dark. But it was a little bit scary, not knowing what the heck that was. It wasn't a helicopter because it had a light on the top of it. And helicopters have a little red light on the bottom. And of course, you can see the tips you would have been able to see something, I think, in my headlights, but they didn't quite shine that distance. And I couldn't see, the lights didn't shine on the UFO. I wasn't that close. But it was out there a couple hundred feet or so in front of me when it crossed the road. It slowly crossed the road. And I was slowing down then, trying to, watch what's going on. And then it went and disappeared. When I tried to wake Francilla up, why, it was gone. And I stepped on the gas and got out of there. There was no cars behind me or in front of me, and I was by myself out there. And I was going to get as far away as I could. But it looked like the one I've got a picture of, which I'll share with you. The windows, as I remember, they glowed. They all melted. The glow kind of melded together, but there was just these really deep blue spots at the center of each one of those windows, looking things. And I don't know, the window looked a little bit far for me to tell how tall the window. It was at least a foot high, I think, and probably 2 feet, 2 feet or maybe 3 feet wide. And they were, I don't know how many was on the side, 5 or 10 or something on that. I thought it was strange that a passenger, and I thought it was maybe a passenger or something, now there were the lights, but when the blue came out of them, I just realized that there wasn't any passengers in there. It was just that blue light. And it wasn't a bright flash light at all. It was just a glow, light glow, but it was distinct. and it was that blue. It was really a deep blue in the middle, and then little lighter blues toward each window or each opening, whatever it was, you know. But I remember that vividly, and seldom tell the story to anybody. But I'd like, you know, somebody to hear it anyhow. And when you talk about UFO and they see you're crazy or you're seeing things and all that stuff, but I know what I saw, and it wasn't an airplane and it wasn't a helicopter, and it was something, you know, strange, which I would call unidentified, and it was pretty good size, thinking of you know, a helicopter size, because it was as wide as the road. I figure about 30 feet, and 10 to 15 feet high. It would in the center, and the bottom was sort of flattish, and the top had a little crown, thicker at the top rather than on the bottom. And I didn't know how anybody could really stand up in there, and if they were standing, they could probably sit okay. But anyway, I'd like to share that with you, and I'll guarantee you I wasn't dreaming and I wasn't sleeping, and I don't tell lies, so that's my story. Enjoy.